Good afternoon, everyone. If you thought 2020 was full of strangeness, welcome to 2021. Let's begin the first few days. Frigid air mass highest barometric pressure reading over Mongolia ever recorded on our planet, ushering in incredible record cold over 20 stations in China. All-time record cold going back 400 plus years in records. And at the same time, all-time low barometric pressure in an extratropical storm. As you see that sweeping over Japan, that would explain the 5 to 7 feet and record cold across hundreds of stations in northern Japan. And the sudden stratospheric warming is going to block and push all the cold air out of the Arctic, sending plummeting temperatures all the way down to Guatemala in Central America. In this day and age, it's so important to keep your body functioning at optimal performance. And collagen may be the closest thing we get to a real fountain of youth. After all, collagen is the most abundant protein in your body and essentially the glue that holds it all together. When you're middle-aged, you're only producing half of the collagen that you did in your youth. My focus is about digestive health because the change in our diets from foods being unavailable, moving to seasonal availability of foods, and the entire spectrum of availability of foods changing. There's so much more to talk about with the benefits of collagen. You can visit healthwithadapt2030.com to learn more. The link's in the description box below. Now, as the gas giants begin to line up in the configuration that hasn't been seen since 79 AD in the outer solar system, one quadrant, 4 planets creating their own slight electromagnetic field, our Earth's climate system is going to start to go haywire. And we're beginning to see it right now as the crossover electromagnetically begins with Jupiter and Saturn. Barometric pressure readings over Mongolia are the highest ever recorded at 1,094.3 millibars, or 32.31 inches. And with that type of barometric pressure, temperature records smashed, dropping across China. And Copernicus Sentinel giving us the barometric pressure readings. And you can see how much snow it's dropping across mountain ranges, unprecedented. And at first I thought it was an anomaly because it was so high that some instrumentation was broken. But then you can see through Mongolia, the readings just started coming in over and over and over, quantifying that indeed this previous record of 1084 was smashed. 1094 now is the new record. And with this all-time record cold, Novosibirsk in Siberia, what else would you expect with ramen noodles and a fresh boiled egg? Wintertime fun in Russia. But what had happened is these 20 weather stations had their lowest temperature recordings ever recorded. And as they go back in, we have the modern temperatures, which are back to about 1910. But then if you start looking back further and further in time, you have the dynastic records. And going back to the Ming Dynasty in the 1600s is where we need to go to find temperatures similar to this. And yes, they were using mercury to determine temperature in China in the 1600s. China was well ahead of the West for so many technological advances, but then they closed themselves off, and we know what happened in the rest of history. And this is really interesting because we had the all-time highest barometric pressure readings ever recorded on the Earth, but the same day, the lowest ever recorded barometric pressure on the Earth. How incredible is this? This Bering Sea, Alaska extratropical blast into the Aleutian Islands. Now, the official records are not set yet, but the deepest low on record. Now, this had an effect of sending 55 to 60-foot waves. Now, that's measured from the back in the trough. So if you're looking at the face on that, that's 120-foot face waves. Condition black down in Hawaii. Waves are pushing in at 30 to 40 feet down there, North Shore. And a wraparound, even in other places that aren't so exposed, are still getting some of the largest waves that they've seen in decades in Hawaii off of this. And there's another storm directly behind it. So the surf crew out in Hawaii is stoked at the size of this. And some of these readings were coming up around 70 to 75-foot waves later on in the troughs. That is a 150-foot face, that really light color in the center. Now, Typhoon Nuri was the lowest readings of millibars at that point in 2014, and this is going to challenge and break so far the record. But then again, it's still unofficial. It needs to be categorized and then officially put into the record books. You can see that scorpion tail whip, a couple thousand miles of cloud in that. And at the same time, follow the blue arrow across Heilongjiang and northern China, Mongolia, Russia. Those cloud striations over Japan, record cold and incredible 7-foot snowfalls. Record low temperatures in so many places across Japan. This is still an ongoing event, and apparently they're digging out and trying to figure out what just happened, because a week prior they had another 7-foot snowstorm. This one here today, in these last, since say New Year's Eve, had another 5 feet on top of that. So that's about 12 feet of snow in just 2 weeks or less. They can handle snow, but not at this level. You know, that would be like your town generally getting a foot throughout the year and then 12 feet comes in. I mean, what do you do with that? Boston had the same problem back in 2015, 16, and that snow pile lasted all the way until June. But these record low temperatures of 32 Celsius below zero, that is about 32 Fahrenheit below zero. They just don't get these types of temperatures in Japan normally. You know, you have the sea there to kind of offset in its own microclimate. It does get cold. It snows, absolutely, but not that kind of cold. It's really outside the norm. I mean, incredibly far outside the norm. And some of the snow reports coming in on ski resorts here from in the snow, 76 centimeters. Now, remember, in the States, 2.5 centimeters is an inch. So 2.5 feet of snow in some areas, which is on the low end of it. 1.2 meters. Remember, 1 meter is approximately 3 feet. So you're looking at a good 4 feet solid on that. And then the one in blue that I highlighted, 158 centimeters. That's more than 5 feet in a single drop on top of the 7 feet from a couple weeks prior. This is one of my favorite images coming out of social media. You can really see the depths there that were on top of anything standing. And then adding another anomaly on top of anomaly on top of anomaly. Sudden stratospheric warming right over Greenland, going to block all the cold air and push it further south. Now, they're expecting up to a foot of snow in Mexico with freezing temperatures going all the way down to the border of Guatemala. In the highlands there, Costa Rica, Guatemala, going to be getting down into the freezing temperature zone. But you can see the setup with the record cold temperatures across Asia to the northwest in this map here. That blocking high sitting right over the Arctic, displacing the cold down. Now, we're going to see more and more of this coming up through January. So some areas are going to be warmer than average, and others are going to be extreme cold because all the cold air is going to be displaced out of the Arctic. It's being forced out. There's going to be nowhere for it to go except further south. And the first iteration coming up this week is going to be right over the UK down into northern Africa, 20 degrees or more below normal temperatures, along with snow. I do thank you for watching. If you like this type of information, please remember to share it amongst your peers, get the conversation moving. And I'm also putting up more information on Patreon. I'm trying to link this second magnetic field with the gas giants into the changes of the jet streams and climate that we're going to be seeing on the Earth for the now through the next 3 years, and how that's really going to start to affect crop production, which you're going to see a significant dropout and massive food price increase this year based on what's happening. And if it continues, then we can extrapolate it out to 2024. Well, thank you for watching. Hope you got something out of the video. The links for Patreon as well as all of the stories for tonight are in the description box below. I have the new podcast app up, the Mini Ice Age Conversation Podcast, available on Android. Still working on the Apple version, but you can download that and 30 minutes on the go wherever you are. And I will see you next time.